All right. So we are ready now. We can get started.
Awesome.
I think 1 second. Just do that. Okay. So I'll just start the recording and then we'll get started. So hello everyone. Right. So good evening once again and welcome to our monthly cohort. And this time we have a very special guest, Bhaskar Vashisht, with us. He is, and we are very proud to say that he is one of the top 400 Salesforce architects, certified technical architects around the globe that we have here today with our in our cohort, right? So the purpose of this session to have you all here on this cohort here today is basically that we wanted to bring to you Bhaskar's knowledge and bring to you his preparation techniques so that you are, for all the aspiring architects and for all the people who are looking up to getting onto that path, there is an inspiration that gets set, and basically we are able to kind of help you with some inputs, some insights on how you can get started with your journey and get moving forward on that journey. Okay. So very happily, I announced that Bhaskar is here today, and he's a Salesforce Certified Technical Architect, and he's working as a Salesforce Practice Lead with Merkle. Bhaskar, over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself very briefly, and then we can get started with the session?
Sure, Monica. First of all, thank you so much. And can you confirm if I'm properly audible?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. Once again, as Monica has already introduced me, I work as Salesforce practice head for Merkle in India, and it's my pleasure today. And I would say thank you so much to Monica and ForceArk Academy to organize such sessions, because these are really helpful for the aspiring architects and to the community. And we also get a chance to contribute back to the community, because I've earned a lot. I've gained a lot from the community, and that has helped me in preparing for my examination, and I managed to crack it, and definitely you will one day. So before this organization, before Merkle, I worked for Accenture for a good number of years, both in India as well as in New Zealand. So I'm a New Zealand resident. I worked over there for a good number of years. And prior to Accenture, I was working for Cognizant. So summing up around 14 plus years of experience, all together pretty deeply inside Salesforce. And I worked across multiple roles. So from the pre-sales consultant to solution architect to technical architect to a typical project manager to a scrum master, you name it, I've done it. So, and of course, yeah, I'm looking forward to have this discussion today and contribute whatever best I can for this community. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bhaskar. So guys, we are also live on YouTube right now. So your friends can also catch up there directly on the YouTube. And then after the session, we'll definitely be posting everything around in LinkedIn and everywhere on all our channels. Okay. So stay tuned, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation today with Bhaskar and getting some insights on how you can start preparing for yourself and how basically this how you can get access to the community and how you can benefit from each other. So that is what we are going to talk about today. Okay. So Bhaskar, we will get started with the first basic question that always comes to my mind, that what has been your inspiration and where did you start your journey towards CTA?
Sure thing. It was long back. It was back in the year 2018 when I was working for Accenture, and I was in New Zealand, and I got a chance to work with one of the very famous CTA. His name is Steve. I used to report to him in Accenture, and whenever we used to solve any kind of complex problem, and he used to think, Bhaskar, think like an architect. But I was always like, pushed back on why I'm not thinking like an architect. So I would say like that was the trigger point when I was pushed to think like an architect. And when I would say that CTA is something which, of course, not only the pinnacle will give you the best of the relief once you get it, but the journey itself is very interesting, right? Because whatever you learn in this entire journey it is totally remarkable, right? And once you are done with it, then of course you just die to get that badge. And this entire inspiration comes from the CTAs with whom I have worked for, and then the kind of push which I received to think like an architect, and then I started following my journey for the certifications, for the prerequisite certifications, and then I started thinking like an architect, and then I got to know that there are multiple gaps. Whenever we try to solve any kind of customer's problem, we just try to think about that problem, and we are not thinking about what kind of other problems which might arise by solving my solution. And I think that exactly the trigger point is. So I would say I was
Okay.
fascinated by the journey to become an architect and then start thinking like an architect, and that was a trigger point for me. I started with that, and then it took around good 4 years for me to get to gain my badge. But yeah, it was very interesting journey, I would say.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And I think working with Stephen himself is kind of an accolade for us, right? So definitely, it would have. I mean, I think that's a very good source of inspiration that you took through. So I think Bhaskar, as in for people around, I'll just present my screen with one slider to
Mhm.
just enable them with that what CTA journey would look like for them in terms of the certifications that we go through, and then we'll continue with the um this thing. So I'll just see. So I've just picked it up from the trailhead itself so that it's convenient for everyone and relatable for everyone. So this is the first part of the certifications, that set of certifications that we talk about, right? So you have the application architect stream and the system architect stream, right? And these are like the prerequisite certifications. So would you want to
Correct.
highlight something out here?
Yeah, sure thing. So, and indeed, I think that is pretty generic information which is available on Trailhead. That,
Yes.
of course, in order to become an architect or a certified technical architect, there are prerequisite certifications which you need to do, which you can see over here. That's the application architect and system architect certifications. Out of these examinations, just keep in mind that these are not the only things which you are expected to. These are just the prerequisites which enables you technically to register for the examination. But there are a whole bunch of things which we're going to talk about in this session, which you need to consider. For example, in out of these certifications, we're not going to talk about how the governance structure should be taken care, how the DevOps should be done, what testing tools you should be using, what mobile application, how you are going to decide whether you're going to use a HTML5 based application versus a mobile publisher versus a hybrid application versus a native mobile application. So all these decisions which play a very crucial role in obtaining or in solving the scenario what you receive for your CTA is totally different than what you see over here. So there's all these certifications, becoming a data architect, application architect, and system architect will enable you technically to register for the examination. But apart from these certifications, there are a bunch of other things which you need to think about. And I would say the prerequisite which I recommend apart from these certifications is to start going through the study guide. Salesforce has
Right.
published a study guide on Trailhead, which you can download, and you will start seeing that there are around 32 problem statements which you are expected to understand, and then each and every problem statement will fall either one or more of the certification domain. So for example, you may find one problem statement that okay, you need to solve a complex data management problem, that there is a huge data you need to migrate, and that will fall under this your data architect examination, which is the
Right.
prerequisite you would have done. So whenever you prepare for these specialized certifications, start preparing your notes. Ensure that you are checking all the check boxes in terms of learning each and every single statement of what you read out of the Trailhead, and that will enable you to solve the CTA problem, because at that time, because once you start giving the mocks, at that time you will remember that I would have it would have been great if I would have studied that certification well, because Salesforce CTA judges, when they evaluate you, they just do not go with the theoretical knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that
Mm-hmm.
how well practically you have implemented it, or at least you can explain it the way you would have thought, because they really want to see that whether you have got the vision or not. So you need to be extremely clear in that.
Sorry, Bhaskar, your voice went off.
Am I audible now?
Yes, 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 yes.
All right. So what I was saying is that you need to be extremely clear about the vision of the solution, and that will
Right,
help. And for that, you need to mix both the theoretical knowledge as well as the practical knowledge, and then you need to provide a concluded solution in as less words as possible.
right. So, I mean, once these prerequisites technically kind of make you enabled for being able to appear for the evaluation review, and then you can kind of go for the review board exam. And there are some set of optional certifications as well, right, which help you actually clear your board exams or set the base for that, right?
That is true. So, if you think about the Salesforce CTA examination, and again, I would reiterate that you need to just go line by line to the study guide. What you would
Mm,
notice is that there are three areas which they truly focus on. The first thing is they talk about the sales cloud, that how any organization sales process work. The second thing is the service part, that how you are providing the services and all the detailed part of it, right? And then it talks
mhm.
about that how well you will utilize the platform to make your solution scalable. And then there are the other segments as well, like the how you are going to deploy the solution, how you're going to govern the solution, etc., etc. But if you think from the sales and service perspective, you need to think that there are other certifications which we are calling as an optional certification, which you need to be extremely clear in your mind. So in my journey, and I would tell my experience that once I completed my ATM certification, I literally focused on my sales cloud and service cloud and community cloud, these three certifications. There was an optional certification which used to be there. It was a mobile architecture and designer, which is no more
Mhm.
available. But yeah, there are a lot of content available for the certification which you can prepare, and that will help you take the right mobile strategic decision. And what
Right.
I would and what I would say that once you prepare for the sales cloud, service cloud, and community cloud certification, just prepare your notes, because whatever you study, whatever topic you study, you just need to understand that how you are going to take a decision. So you need to have a decision tree across every single topic. So same
Mhm.
way, this optional certification, for example, Salesforce Revenue Cloud or CPQ certification. I did the
Mhm.
certification as well, but did I use it in my solution? Was my solution asking for it? It's a totally different thing, because I
Correct.
had a very clear image in my mind that okay, if this is the requirement, then I'm gonna go path A or path B. If this path B requires complexity, then either I will go with CPQ or I will not go with CPQ. So whatever certification you prepare, whether it's an FSL, whether it's a CPQ, you need to be extremely clear that when you will be using it, and if you are not using it, then why you are not going to use it. You need to be very well prepared for the justification if you're not using something.
Right, right. No, absolutely got your point. So I think these are the baseline things that we need to follow and have. I mean, basically, it sets the foundation, right? So that's kind of very important to be out there, right? So moving on to my next query that I had. I mean, I was always inquisitive about this. That what are the required skills that, as in, are required to get on there? Is it like you should be a hardcore coder, or you can be a functional architect and then move in there, and or basically, what is it that actually kind of helps you lead there?
Sure. So I get this question very often because there are pretty good friends of mine who were developers and who have started getting into the architect journey, and they
Hmm.
understand, and they ask the same question like, I am not a developer, Bhaskar, can I be an architect? And the answer is yes, you can be architect. You don't need to code in this examination. The concept is simple. But if you are not able to understand that what a code can do, what are the capabilities of code, what are the drawbacks of writing that specific line of code, if you're not clear in there, judges are going to catch you. You will be caught because either you are not going to use any of the standard declarative platform feature, that is why you are going into code. And even if you're suggesting a code, so for example, you get a requirement that okay, upon opportunity closed one, I just want to get an auto creator or something like that in the SAP system, and you say like, hey, I'm just going to use an Apex callout, or you have an option that okay, I probably use external services with a flow, or maybe some other option as well. Then if you are whatever solution option you are recommending, or you are calling it out in your presentation or in your solution, you need to be very clear in your vision that why you have chosen that solution, because whatever you have not chosen, you are going to be asked back that why you have not chosen this, right? And people start thinking that, for example, if you for any meeting any after meeting any specific criteria, say you want to create a community user, right? Now that community user you can create by a flow, that community user you can create by a trigger. You don't need to explain that what code syntax you are going to write, but if you are not calling out that you will that you will use at future annotation to avoid the mixed DML, or you will or you will write this code in asynchronous manner so that it doesn't reiteratively update the content record and not fall into the SQL exception, etc. If you're not calling that out, they're going to come back and ask you. So you
Yeah.
whatever solution you give, you need to be clear that what coding component you are going to use for that. So again, example I will give, because I would assume that there will be a lot of developers would have joined this call. So for example, if there is a requirement where you need to scan an image and you say like, hey, I'll use an LWC to scan the image, that's not going to help. If they say that, okay, you just need to get the location for any specific place wherever you are standing. If you say that I will use the my mobile phone to track the location, that's not going to help. You need to tell that which API you're going to use. You're going to use the geolocation API, you're going to use the distance API for Google or whatever. You need to call that out. And that's it. Because judges do not go up to level 3, level 4, but it is expected that they will go up to level 2. Level 1 would be they will ask you that what component, what method you are using, and the level 2 would be why you have used it, and that's it.
True. Yeah. I think that is very important.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, but iteratively, I'll again speak that you don't need to be a perfect coder, but you need to know why you are using coding, because and why you are not using a configuration, because Salesforce literally recommends to use their platform. If something you can do by a flow or by a process builder or by a workflow, then just do not go with code. Otherwise, you will be questioned back. And it will become very hard to justify, because it comes with a lot of maintenance, it comes with a lot of time to market, you require specialized skills, etc., which nothing, all of these came if you go with a standard solution. So always go with a simple solution first, and that is my tip number 1. Choose the simplest possible solution option and take the assumption which are in favor for you.
Right. Absolutely. So I think that is where the difference lies between an architect and a developer, that you should know that why you are going for this particular solution and how you should be implementing it. Not basically kind of the actual implementation will definitely be done by the developer, but how and why is what the architect should be answering.
Exactly. And at the same time, architect, as I would say, right, Stephen used to say, Bhaskar, think like an architect. If you and I will make it very simple for everyone. You think about the 7 domains of that architect, right? What those are. It is in front of me right now. So it's the data architecture, the sharing and visibility architecture, and then you have got the development lifecycle and deployment, then you have got the identity and access management, then you have got the integration architecture. So these are the different architectural components. So whenever you hear any business problem, whether it is just updating a single field on any object record, or if it is just sending an email, just think from all of these perspectives, right? Start thinking from the sharing and security, then think about the identity and access management, then think about the whether it's going to be an LDV object or not. As soon as you cover all of these aspects, you are thinking like an architect, and that is kind of mind map you need to be preparing. And I'm telling you, like, it could be a very simplest out of simplest business problem which you might try to solve. Just thinking like an architect means just try to coordinate with all of these points and think like, is it going to impact my scalability? Have I considered what will happen? So for example, if you're updating an object record field by maybe a process builder, what if I'm going to have 25 million records in this object? What might not work? As soon as you start thinking like that, you're thinking like an architect.
Correct, absolutely. And how does the domain knowledge helps you out there? I know this is more of a platform thing that we should be understanding, but how does the domain angle actually help you out there? Because there may be experts who are completely domain experts, but still on the Salesforce platform, working with a set of developers to get you there. But how does that help?
To be honest to you, and that is my personal suggestion, that that do not try to think from the domain perspective in the beginning itself, right? It is a platform certification. They want you to be to gain the expertise onto the platform. And once you gain the expertise onto your solutioning and you start effectively communicating your solution to your customer, thinking all the architectural perspective, you are covered. You do not need to think about domain, because see, if you're talking about an automobile domain, they might be selling a car. If you're talking about a banking domain, they might be selling loans. If you are talking about a hospital or something, they might be selling some services, right? So do not think, rather than thinking from the domain perspective, start thinking that, okay, what their business model is, how they are making money. As soon as you figure that out, how they are making money, it means you're thinking about dollar. You're thinking about dollar means you're talking about opportunity. It means you're talking about a sales cycle. You think from the sales cycle perspective, and then you start thinking about, okay, against what I'm going to provide the services. Now, you can apply it on banking, you can apply it on automobile, you can apply it on real estate, whatever the domain is. So having domain knowledge might help you. If you get a scenario from the same domain, probably you will be able to better correlate some of the words. But when the scenarios are prepared by Salesforce and they give it to you, they do not expect you to be a domain expert. domain expert, right? Because not see, I am having like 14 plus years of experience in all different multiple projects, and I've worked on more than 30 projects, but I've not even covered all of the domains, right? So there are multiple domains which I have not even touched. And what if I would have got the scenario from that domain? That
Yeah.
would not, I wouldn't have even cared, right? Because what I need to think that, okay, are they doing marketing? Are they doing sales? Are they doing surface? If any of this require any kind of customization, how I'm doing it, then how I'm deploying the solution, how I'm effectively communicating the vision to my to the judges, and whether I'm understanding the capabilities of my solution and the platform. That's it. That's what CTA demands.
Correct. Absolutely right. So this is more about the platform knowledge that we need to carry forward, and domain is actually just a sidekick to kind of help you out with that, but not really get you there.
Exactly. So, and even and that is a tip which I got because people get a fear of that. Hey, क्या पता
Hmm.
मेरे को कुछ ये वाला domain आ गया तो, and that is something which. So, for example, if I have never worked on, say, for example, a co-working space, right? For
Right.
example, how Weaver operates. What if I get a scenario for that co-working space, right?
Right.
The think anything, right? What if I got something like on the net zero cloud kind of thing? What if I got something from the non-profit kind of organization? Because I've never worked for any non-profit organization. Then how I would think what they're selling, I don't know, right? So in order to gain that knowledge, it is good to read stories, and that is my
Correct.
tip number two. On the Salesforce website, you go, you will find a lot of success stories, the use cases where all of these organizations from different domains, they talk about their stories in very small paragraphs, right? They have a
Right.
2 or 3 paragraphs, and they say that what they're selling, what they're servicing, and how community cloud is helping them, say for example, for all the XYZ type of customers coming together and solving and collaborating on XYZ type of problem. So that way you will be able to think that what they're selling, what they're servicing, and how the collaboration is happening. And I think that is more than enough to think. As soon as you find that now ठीक है मेरा ये वाला story पढ़ा हुआ है, so I can correlate that what could be their sales model, what could be their service model, and just try to
Right.
you will just gain more feel more confident when you get the similar kind of scenario, but nothing more than that, to be honest. How people have solved it practically versus how you are applying your knowledge and solving the scenario, you need to literally go through line by line, because that scenario might say that, hey, these people are having problem with some data residency requirements, and then you may end up splitting the org and converting a solution into multi-org solution. But in the success
Right.
story, same type of domain may have used one single global org because they were not having any data residency requirements, right? So
Right.
do not try to practically imply all that knowledge. Just go by the scenario. That knowledge will only help you to just understand the sales and service model, if that helps you.
Correct. Absolutely, yes. So, Bhaskar, I think let's get on to the core question of the day, that how do you really get started off with? So, if I am I've been working as a solution architect all this while before I was doing pre-sales architecture, right? And now I'm working as a velocity architect. So, where do I actually get started with, and how do I think, how do I would say, start my journey in short? I mean, so how do I get
Yeah.
into that? Yeah.
In simple words, and that is the tip I give to everyone. You first put yourself into the into that journey, and then go with the flow.
Right.
Every single certification when you complete, they will push you for the next step automatically, right? And I'm going to talk about all of these, right? I'm not going to give one line answer. You might have already got it by now, right? So your first thing is to complete the prerequisite certifications, which we already spoke about. So
Right.
complete the sales cloud, service cloud certification, and then complete all the system and application architect certifications.
Right.
As soon as you are done with it, the next thing which you need to do is start planning, right?
Mhm.
You need to plan that, okay, around how much time you would require to attempt for your CTA evaluation, because that is the next step. And
Right.
the audience, if you are not aware, so Salesforce CTA certification is broken down into two parts. One is the evaluation, and one is the final review board. Evaluation is the mini version of the final review board. In the final review
Mhm.
board, you get three judges. The entire process takes around 8 hours of intensive presentation, etc., etc. However, the evaluation entirely takes around 3 to 3.5 hours, and you will be having one CTA judge. The scenario will be smaller. The duration to solve will be smaller. The duration to present will be 30 minutes. Q&A will also be 30 minutes, and you get a detailed feedback immediately after
Mhm.
during that. Just after a presentation, after a QA, you get a detailed 40-minute feedback, so that you get all of you get the real-time feedback that how a CTA sees you and whether you are ready or not. So Salesforce has introduced this pattern and this evaluation exam to actually show you the right mirror, from the CT eyes that, okay, where you are standing. Because if you are not able to communicate very well, and if you're not able to think very well, say from the sharing and security perspective, then the CTA judge will tell you that, okay, Bhaskar, you need to work on your sharing and security. You are not clear in the community cloud setting, and you will get all those gap points, right? And you get all of those detailed written points in an email as well. So that is something very fantastic which Salesforce has started very recently. And then if you are clear with that examination, by the way, if you do not clear, you cannot appear for the review board, the evaluation again for the next 6 months. So you need to clear it. And then once you are done, you will automatically get your date for the final review board, which will be around after 3 to 4 months, within the 3 to 4 months duration after evaluation pass. So now coming back to your question that how you can get started. So first start with the prerequisite certifications. Once you're done with that, go into the planning zone and literally make an Excel sheet. And that is what exactly I have done. I have made an Excel and I wrote that, okay, what exactly I need to do. And then as soon as I started that, I of course wanted to revise every single component that and identify that what my gaps are. Because until and unless I know my gaps, I do not know that what I need to study, because the syllabus is very vast, right? So what I did, I went with the study guide, and that is a tip which I got from every single CTA, and of course from my CTA coach as well, that you go through the study guide. There are around 32 points, and I started marking against those points that whether I am ready against that point or not. So one point could be, you should be able to understand the Salesforce reporting and dashboard and the capabilities and the limitations for that, and what the different consideration you will make if you are proposing the Salesforce reports. So I know that I know Salesforce and reports and dashboards, right? I was confident, so I just marked a tick that, okay, that is not my gap, right? So same way, you have all the multiple points across the 7 domains of the Salesforce CTA certification, and then you start marking all of them, and then you will identify that what you do not know. And as soon as you start, for example, there is one of the requirements which says that you need to understand the deployment lifecycle and what are different tools you will be using for the deployment. So that was a gap for me. I was not very clear about it. So I started looking for the resources, and that comes to my third point, that how you are gonna, as soon as you identify your gaps, then you will require resources to gain the access to fill those gaps, right? And the resources could be I would like to divide into 3 categories. The first resource is with everyone, that is our trailhead. You just go on Google, write it on that what exactly how the development lifecycle works in Salesforce, etc., and you will get enough content. Trust me. Right. The second is the community which is already existing. So you go to the Trailblazer community and join the architect community straight away. Then you will find that multiple groups have been made. So Melissa has created a channel. There is another channel which is existing with the name CTA 1111 run by Charlie Go. And there are a couple of other regional groups are available as well. So you need to identify that, okay, which group you are part of. So say, for example, if you are okay with the European time zone, then you can even join that group as well. And you can of course join the Indian groups as well. Once you do that, you will gain the access to their Slack community as well. So that, right, and these Slack communities are free. So one community which I remember, which Melissa has created, and there are a few others available as well. So, but the very good point to start with is Melissa's community. Join that, and you will find like-minded people. And you just need to introduce yourself in your first post. Say that, hey, I have completed all of my prerequisites, and I am planning to appear for my review board. And maybe you may not have a date in your mind, but you say that I'm just stepping onto my CTA evaluation preparation, and I am looking for study buddies to join me and go from there. And I think that is the time when you will find the like-minded people, the like status people who will come together and say like, hey, maybe India se, and then I'm also from this region, or maybe I'm also exactly like you. I just completed all of my prerequisite certification. Let's prepare together. And then you make your small group and you start from there, right? The same. So this is the online resource. And the same resource can be categorized. So if you do not know any people, if you do not have any coach, if there is no CT in your organization, and if you are okay, and if your organization is okay to fund, or if you're okay to fund by out of your own pocket, then you can opt in for any kind of paid course as well, or the paid membership. There is which I have joined. So for example, say Flow Republic, Sebastian Wagner, he provides CTA coaching. You can go to Flow Republic website and you can pay from there. You can become a part of the cohort. And what it helps is like the effort what you have put in to find a mentor, you may or you may not get. The study group of people you may or you may not get straight away. which you will easily get if you go with this paid channel, because you will be put into a cohort, you will get a group altogether straight away, and then you can start from there. And the third part of the preparation is your books, which have always been helpful. So there are two pretty common books available in the market, and which one of them I definitely recommend is Becoming a Salesforce Certified Technical Architect. That is the name of the book, and it is written by Tamim Behri, which you can buy from Amazon. You can get the soft copy versus hard copy, whatever you prefer. And that is something which will give you every single thing which is not available anywhere. So for example, if you are not finding any good content on that, how you can enhance your communication, how effectively you can communicate, what exactly you should speak if you're talking about say mobile solution, then Tamim Behri has actually, that book has actually given you the words that what you should be talking about, right? So you just read it out a couple of times, go in front of mirror and just call it out again and again, and then you will get into the better practice of calling out your solution and communicating your vision effectively.
Right. Absolutely. So the three things are basically your study guide, your resources and the community access, and then the books basically which should be there, which help you kind of get there.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's a very good
So
starting
Monica,
point.
and and even before, like before because I want to finish that, I want to give a finish line to your question, because now you have started that, but I just do not want the team to just run headless, right? So as soon as you become you gain the access to that community, you have started speaking to people, then then that gap analysis thing will come into the picture, and you guys will start organizing sessions. Then I recommend to go for a 1,000-hour study rule. It is a very common study rule. That's what people say, that you require at least 1,000 hours of study. That is a theoretical study which you need to do a lot, and of course you need to do a lot of things try. So for example, if you've not used entitlements before, try entitlement, how they work. If you have not used forecasting before, try it out by your hand, because that is something which will help you. Try territory management, try all the niche areas, how assets are being used, how products are being used, how the different price books are bundled. Try them out manually by yourself. I do not push on the the beginning of the preparation to start preparing for CPQ, start preparing for Vlocity, start preparing for Field Service Lightning or Financial Service Cloud. You don't need to do all that. Just stick to sales, service, and platform and communities, and you're fine. And then gain the feedback. And of course, you need to have the overviewish knowledge that what the capabilities of the products are. Why actually Salesforce is recommending this product? Why Salesforce would recommend Vlocity for a communication cloud kind of thing? Why? As soon as you have that answer, that is more than enough, at least for your CTA review board. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a very important tip. Again, I would say that having the knowledge, I mean, whether you are not utilizing it, so to be able to answer to the board questions that whether this is usable or not, so whether I want a CPQ at this place or not is kind of a key thing there, right?
Exactly.
So that's where the knowledge of tools is actually important for us.
Yeah,
to understand
and the overview actually suffice. You don't need to go with the in-depth. I never recommend someone to just go and spend your 50% of your study time in just exploring CPQ. People need to follow 80-20 rule. 80% preparation time and the dedication should go only in the sales, service, and platform and the communities, and the Salesforce products, like what different Einstein products have come. Right, Einstein Analytics, that is pretty interesting. CRM Analytics now. You should be knowing that why you will be using it, why not Salesforce reports and dashboards, then why CRM Analytics, right? You should be knowing their APIs, what different things you're doing. And then the 20% area is that niche area, CPQ, FSL, Field Service Light, or the Financial Service Cloud, and all those things I put into that 20. Once you're extremely confident on that 80, then start thinking for the 20. Otherwise, don't go with there. Don't go in there. Right, and I can definitely vouch for that if you're preparing for your CTA evaluation, which you anyways will be, right, because that's the prerequisite right now. So in that CTA evaluation, that 80% is the only thing which you need to focus on. Don't think about the remaining 20. Once you're done with that, once you pass your CTA evaluation, that is the time when you can start thinking about the remaining 20% areas.
Okay. Yeah. That's again a thing to note down, basically, that your evaluation board is kind of focuses only on the platform, and your overall board review might focus on kind of trying to understand whether you know about that tool or not, and whether you should use it or not. That kind of a knowledge gain.
Right. It is not something where it is written. It is not a global rule.
Yes,
but that is what we have learned and we have followed. Exactly.
Right, right. No, absolutely. So I would like to come to the question that what kind of board review happens and how does it actually take to there. But before that, I would like to understand that what kind of timetable can one follow? Because it becomes kind of bit strenuous when you are into such kind of a pressure cooker.
Yeah,
I would say it's a pressure cooker only. So when you
yeah,
are into such kind of a pressure because you're paying for a good amount for a overall certification, right? So it is bound to happen that you give your 100 200% actually for the preparation.
exactly.
So what really helps you to build your day, and how does your day look like when you are preparing for it?
So I will give you my example, Manika, and this will vary person to person. And there's a very famous blog which says that what it takes to fail a CTA. It's a very famous blog where I think James or someone has written a very nice
Right.
blog and telling that what different challenges that person has faced. So
Yeah.
I'll give you the tip, right? The very first thing is that you need to be mentally very well prepared and you need to be mentally healthy, right? Physical fitness and mental fitness are the key, right? If you're not fit, just don't attempt to it. You you
Okay.
you feel that fitness first. Once you do that, then 50% of the pressure will automatically be released. Because see, just think about it, right? What exactly could happen? You might fail. Beyond that, what? Anyways, even if you fail, then you are failing, and that exactly I was thinking then, and I was thinking like, hey, out of the $6,000 $1,500 goes in the evaluation, and then 4,500 goes into this final review board, and then even if I fail, how much money I need to pay? I don't need to pay 4,500 again, right? It just become 20 to 50. That's 50% in
Mm.
the next attempt, and I don't even need to go for the CTA six or the evaluation again. I just need to re-prepare, and just spend another 20 to 50, which is substantially very small amount if you think from the $6,000 number, and then you will feel relaxed. कि नहीं यार बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है, लाख डेढ़ लाख रुपए खर्चा है, then I will do it again. So that is the kind of thing which I was pushing to myself, right? And and I think that literally helps, right? If you do not think in that way, if you think from a very big number कि यार fail हो गया तो क्या होगा, just do not think from the money perspective, right? Every single failure will give you immense amount of learning, trust me,
Yes.
right? And there is a very thin line difference between a pass and a failure in the CTA review board, and the people whom I have learned millions of things, those people have also like some of them were not able to even clear that examination in the very first attempt, but they have taken second attempt and the third attempt, and there are millions of blocks which you'll find right on the sorry. There are millions of blogs which people have written, and where they are telling that okay, how they have taken the second attempt, third attempt, and even there are many judges who have cleared this examination in 5 to 6 or 7 attempts. So
Mm.
perseverance is the another key tip which I would give. Think from that angle, and that
Right.
is what your coach will always tell. फेल होने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि तुम नहीं कर सकते. फेल होने का मतलब ये है कि तुमने कुछ तो मिस किया, इस बार वो मत करना, right? And even my coaches, right? And I definitely do not want to name that person, but that person has taken around 7 attempts to pass the examination, right? So and that person is leading the CT capability in one of the largest firm. So think from that angle that it is just a game, right? Even if you know everything but you're not able to speak that out, you're out, right? So it has to be your day. You have to be in the right state of mind. You have to be very well filled from the stomach perspective. You need to have eat good food because so that your mind works, and at the same time you need to have a healthy environment from your family and your surroundings as well. So yeah,
Yes.
talking about the timetable, cutting short my answer, I used to start my day at around 6 a.m. in the morning, and in between 6 to 8 I used to give 2 hours per day on a daily basis with no excuse at all, right? I became father during my journey, and even after that I didn't let it impact my study duration, because once my baby got delivered, I had 3 months, after which I had to I had to appear for my review board, and during those 3 months I have spent more than 40 hours in studying. I've even taken
Oh,
some time off as well, from my office, just to dedicate this time, because I had just one shot. That's what my wife gave me. That was the ultimatum I received. And people will have a different scenarios in their home, right? So I would say 2 hours per day. Go for it. I think that is the best way to do. And start from your gap analysis. Target on that 80%. Meet with your study buddies every day. So those 2 hours are your self studies, and after that, in every week you start with one hour of study with your group, and then
Okay.
start increasing that duration to say twice a week, and then after some time you get into the rhythm of everyday
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, make a
Right.
cohort of not more than 3 to 4 people, and then start in preparation. Give one topic to each, and then everyone need to study that. One person will talk about it, the other person will keep challenging that person. I think if you follow that phenomena, then
Okay.
you will gain first. You will be able to answer the queries effectively. Second, you start getting the pressure even after you studied, and then and then third thing, it will start building your muscle memory. And once you start doing that, if the same thing will be repeated by say 3 to 4 times you will never forget it.
Absolutely. No, no, that's very helpful actually. And how does your board, I mean, any tips that you would want to give for the board presentation that we go for? I think it's how 6 to 8 hours long. I think
Yes.
that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of present yourself there, and what are the key things that you need to keep in mind while you are actually talking about the talking in front of the board review members?
I will give one very cool tip, right? And that probably everyone would love. The thing is, when you are giving the presentation, the CTA review board presentation, so everyone knows, right? You get, being a non-native speaker, you can get up to 3.5 hours for your preparation. So you can solve your scenario. Between that, you also, so after 2 hours, you also get a 15-minute break optional.
Uh-huh.
And after that, you get another 1.5 hours. And after that, you take the pictures of all of your artifacts and everything, and that time doesn't count. You need to send all of those pictures to your proctor, and then they will create a PPT. It will take around 30 minutes duration for all this process, and that time doesn't count. Then you another again you get a 15-minute break, go out, have some beverages, eat something, come back with full energy, and then you are only talking to your screen. There is, you just see, it is just you and your screen, because no one is interrupting you. It is your solution, you know what you need to talk about. Just go with the flow. Never start getting demoralized in the beginning itself, because there is no one who can ask you anything. The Q&A is totally different phase. So that is what my tip is, and that's how I used to
Okay.
tell. I used to think that 45 minutes is my time. No one is going to ask me something. I just need to talk to my computer. That's it.
Okay.
So just be confident, be very precise in explaining everything. There are around 70 to maybe 80 to 90 requirements which you will encounter. Never repeat those requirements while you're presenting, because time management is the key. In 45 minutes, covering all the 7 domains of that examination becomes very key. So do not start repeating the problem statement, because these are the judges. They know the problem. They want to hear the solution. And once you
Mm-hmm.
give the solution, try to identify what exactly the node you are trying to solve, what exactly the problem is, and then what is the solution. Then talk about any consideration or any limitation, and then any and any kind of assumption if you would have made. So for example, leads are coming to there are 500 leads coming, or say 450 leads coming from their website. Then you are recommending a solution as web to lead solution. Why? Because it's a declarative native Salesforce solution. Don't need to go beyond that. Don't start talking about why you are not using form assembly, because you don't need to do that. If you're using form assembly, you need to explain why you are using form assembly. But if we are using any Salesforce native solution, just say it's a native Salesforce solution, and you are done. Because that itself is the
Okay.
justification. Then you say, and then you talk about we are within the limit of 500 leads per day. That's done. And the assumption could be, my assumption is that even during the peak times, this lead count doesn't go beyond 500, and you are sorted.
Right.
So
Right.
consideration and assumption is the key while you give your answer.
Right.
So start preparing your presentation exactly in that format. Solve every single requirement exactly in the same way while you speak, and that way you will be able to finish your entire presentation within this 45 minutes of duration.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think keeping yourself concise and bringing out the right set of things is what actually is important during the board review, right?
Exactly.
And your communication, the way that you're kind of communicating to them, right?
Absolutely.
So one more question before we get on to kind of I don't want to let you go, but then before kind of consolidating our tips and tricks, but and then there are some questions also from the audience in the Q&A, so I'll get you there. But before that, any specific areas that people do not really focus on and are kind of unknown areas and should be kind of focused on while you are preparing for the exam?
Sure. So while you prepare for your while you prepare for your review board, and when you get the content on the trailhead, there are certain areas for which you will not get the content pretty easily. And when I say easily, it means like it will not be just like pushed to you to read. It is something you just need to figure out. You just need to you just need to find the right areas to get that information. And that is, areas are two major areas. One is the deployment life cycle of any solution, and then the second part is the governance structure, that what governance
Mm-hmm.
structure you would follow. And why these two areas are very important, and sorry, there is a third one as well, which used to be an optional certification, that is the mobile architecture designer. So how you are going to use the mobile solution, and which type of mobile application you're going to use, what testing tools you will be utilizing to test the mobile application. These things are again very tricky. And to be honest, you don't need to remember what I'm saying right now, because every single point is there in that 32 points in that study guide. You will find one statement written dedicated for solution architecture for mobiles. You will find a dedicated line item written for the development lifecycle, that how the development and the DevOps tool should be used. But you will not find that content pretty easily. But since you know that this is the problem statement, we spoke about three resources. You can easily go and check it out, because if you talk about the Tamim Bahiri's book, there is a dedicated chapter to read, that what different type of DevOps tools are
Okay.
available, how they will be utilized. The second
Right.
channel, Melissa's channel, there is a folder, Google Drive folder, where multiple cheat sheets are available. So you can just find out those cheat sheets by the name, search it out in the Google Drive. You will get the access as soon as you get the access to the Slack channel, and then you are done. So you know where the resources, you know what to read from the study guide, and then you are sorted.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. That's very useful. I think that's something that we kind of forget and leave it out, and that's where we actually kind of fail to understand how the overall project needs to be executed and governed. Right. So that's very important.
I will
So
I
Bhaskar,
will, I will tell you
yeah.
one. Yeah, I will tell you one very important thing, and I know that we are running out of time. So, but I will tell you that, see, until the presentation, until we do the presentation, it is your game, right? But when it comes to the Q&A, that is something you need to be extremely mindful. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
mindful, if you're not understanding what judges are saying, then the game might change drastically, right? So you need to read the room, you need to understand their expressions, and usually you will not get too much expression from the judges, by the way, but you need to
Mm-hmm.
buy in your solution. Try
Correct.
to buy in the solution, try to read the room. If you see, and try to be as concise as possible, and give them as much opportunity to ask as possible, because they've got a list of around say you have got three judges, they've got a list of five questions each. You have got 15 questions to answer. If you take too much of time and you were able to answer only 10 questions, you're anyways out. You will not be able to clear. You need to give them the opportunity to ask as many questions as possible. As soon as they are done with their 15 questions, then you are good. If you're not able to, if you're not confident in, say, in the
Uh-huh.
14th question, then just ask them. Let's just say that I would like to come back to this question later. That's okay. Let them ask. Once they run out of question, then you come back to that question, think about it, and give your guesstimate or whatever, as whatever you feel comfortable. But being an architect, I will never guesstimate a solution. I will always give the exact solution, or I'll say I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. I think that's very important. Again, I mean, it comes back to all how you're communicating with them and how you're kind of communicating your thoughts through.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we have some questions there. The first question is basically that what are the specific clouds that you should be knowing about, and is there kind of mandatory to have experience on these clouds?
Yes. Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Community Cloud, you need to have mandatory experience in there. Salesforce
Mm-hmm.
will never devalue their certification just by their theoretical knowledge, and that's what they have written everywhere, right? So CTA certification is a very high prestigious certification. They want you to gain that knowledge,
Right.
and that is the reason not people with a 4 to 5 years of experience, which you'll find many in the world, would attempt for the certification, because it takes some time to gain that knowledge. But you have to plan now. If you are, say,
Mm-hmm.
2 3 years of experienced person, you need to plan now. You need to work today to make this journey easier for you.
Right, right. I think that is one of the other questions as well, that I have 2.5 years of experience as Salesforce Velocity developers, but how can I kind of get there on that path? So it's basically you need to start preparing now and think about it, that where do you really want to land
Exactly what we
finally.
spoke about, right? The prerequisite thing. Sales Cloud certification, Service Cloud consultant certification, Community Cloud, and then the
Right.
prerequisite certification. That should be your step up journey. And there onwards, you can plan that what you want to do next, because it's going to take a couple of years, trust me, to achieve all
Right.
that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's one interesting question that someone is asking that at senior level, basically, you get multiple opportunities to work on and multiple projects that you work on. But as a developer, how can you get access to more opportunities and the architect forums and some practical experiences? So are there kind of any set of resources that we can help them with, or
Yes. So there is a very good terminology, and I want everyone to write it immediately. It is known as SDO, Simple Development Org.
SDO?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are working for a company which is a registered partner of Salesforce, then you guys will get the partner communities access. In that partner
Uh-huh.
community, go to partner learning camp, and in that partner learning camp, search for SDO org. SDO org is the type of org with the Salesforce pre-sales consultants use to create the demo solutions for their customers. To give a
Okay.
right, and these orgs are having all the content in it already. It is not like a developer org or an enterprise level 30-day org where you will
Okay.
not be having products. So it is a very fantastic org which you gain access to up to 30 days, which you may request for further extension, or you can sign up for a new. So you need to complete one module in the partner learning camp, and then you will start seeing a specific button to create an SDO. Once you start
Mm-hmm.
creating an SDO, you will gain the access to around 15 to 20 different type of SDOs. You can create a
Mm-hmm.
velocity based, or you can create a financial service cloud. You can create a field service lightning. You can create a lightning scheduler, and all of these orgs will be having a lot of content already in there. Means when I say content, you will be having lots of contents created. Their
Basic
contacts will
data
be having
model.
an appointment,
Hmm.
the data model, and in fact the data as well. And all the related
Okay.
data, sample data will
Yeah.
be there, and all tagged to your email address. So it will work fantastically. You just log in, and then you will feel like someone has already implemented a solution for you, and it is a live org you are working on to.
Oh, that's great. So how do we get access to it? Is it only through the partner portals or
Yes.
partner channels?
Yeah.
Okay.
So partner learning camp, as I mentioned, you log into partner community, then go to partner learning camp. Partner learning camp, search
Okay.
for SDO, complete that module. Once you complete that module, there is some Q&A which you need to fill in. Once done, you need
Okay.
to fill a live form, and then you will get a button enabled in your partner community where from
Okay.
where you can create as many SDOs on demand as you want. So
Okay.
for any type of cloud, you can create for philanthropic cloud. You can create for net zero cloud. Whatever you will
Okay.
not get anywhere, you can create that 30-day trial and just try it out over there with all the data,
Okay.
all the content, all the contacts. And by the way, these orgs are very fantastic. They're having undo option as well. So for example, if you have played around with some data, you made some mess, click on the undo and the org will revert. So that is very fantastic, right?
Okay.
Even if you have created
Okay.
some junk records, you click
That's
undo
interesting.
and everything will be returned back to the a refreshed org.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's one more question around that. How can I practice or how can I upskill myself to prepare or produce most simplistic solutions?
Wow. How can you? Okay, I would say simple. Start with the simple solution first. If you are telling me the solution right away, you are the best person to tell, like, is this the simple solution? If you're not able to tell, start thinking declaratively. Okay.
Mhm.
While solving any business problem, try to think declarative, or let me give a very simple word, try to think like an admin. How would an admin will solve this problem? If you're able to
Mm.
solve that problem, then that's great. If you're not able to solve that problem, then there could be two reasons for it. Either you are not familiar that how declaratively it can be solved, then probably your basic certification will help, like ADM 201, PD1 certification, platform app builder, and that will give you the understanding that how the platform features can be used. Or second, that problem is not meant to be solved declaratively. We require coding, and then it is okay to move on to coding. And once you think about coding, then think from like why you would use Aura versus why you would use LWC. Always go with the latest one. Always use the LWC. Now,
Oh,
within the LWC, what different patterns you will use, that is all your call. You are not expected to explain all that in the CT review board at least.
okay, okay. Yes. So I think that's a wonderful step or wonderful guide to basically have you explored all the options which are available out of the box and then think about that what else is required to be done outside
Yeah.
that. So that will
And
give you the most simplistic solution, I think.
exactly. And I'll tell you one more thing as well, and that is what we were taught, and that is what we communicate. Uh, think not only try to just solve the problem on the platform itself, right? There are multiple ISV partners who have prepared lots of applications on App Exchange. So think from that angle as well, that okay, is it worth spending good amount of time in building the solution, or it is better to buy the solution? So buy
Right.
versus build is a, it's not buy versus build, I would say it's buy over build is a better approach, because in CTA review board, we cannot solve all the problems by doing the customization, and even in the real world as well. So it is okay to think about and propose the solution, Apex in solutions, but be very well versed with the solution. That's another tip. You need to understand how the data model works for that specific. So think about some common applications like the e-signature application, document generation application, some payment related application, some barcode scanning related application. These are the common application which you'll, and maybe a document management application. So these are the 4 or 5 applications which you need to be well versed with.
Right, right, right. There are some domain related questions. So I think we've already answered those in the initial part of the session. So I'll move on to the other one, that someone is asking about, that any references or specific books to prepare for integration architect exam. I think that is like one of the toughest ones, because you need to understand how the APIs work and things like that.
Yeah, I would say that for that integration architecture, and I always followed the trailhead. So you don't need to run behind any kind of book. There is a Salesforce recommended. They have created a
Mm.
trail mix for the integration architecture. Just follow that blindly. That
Mm.
should be your Bible. For any kind of domain certification, guys, that's my recommendation. For your domain certification, follow the Salesforce standard trail mix. That's my tip. And once you are done with that, jump onto the next book, that is the Becoming a Salesforce Certified Technical Architect. Again, all of those domains will be repeated in there, but they will be more focused on the CTA part, right? How you can utilize the summarized knowledge in your CTA review board.
Okay, 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 okay. Fine. So that helps. One interesting question is that any tips on planning for the journey, and how would you kind of keep yourself motivated throughout it? Because it's a long journey, right? You would plan that you may become a CTA after 2 years. So it's a huge time where you have to kind of sacrifice a lot of things, right? So
Accountability
how do you
partners,
keep it?
guys. Yeah, accountability partners. You need to make a group, and that's what I was saying, like make a group of 3 to 4 people, and you always need to be on top of the communication. See, once you get into the journey, you will not realize the time, because once you complete your prerequisite certification, the certification itself is a motivation, right? And this is the tip which I gave to every single person whom I have interacted with in my life
Right.
around the Salesforce motivation. Always have one Salesforce certification registered in your bucket.
Mm.
Always. Even today, I have one Salesforce certification registered. I may push the date, that's a different story. But I have one certification registered. As soon as I will pass that one, I will get another one registered. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
you, that way you will be able to complete your prerequisite. And then once you create your cohort or your small group, or once you become part of Melissa's channel, they will push you
Mm-hmm.
to remain motivated. Every Sunday there is a meet, you have to come, and then in circular basis you need to present. How can I prepare without being motivated? And because I know that tomorrow I need to present, right? So I'm pushed to do that. Either I can consider myself out of the journey, or if I am there, I have to present. If I have to present, I need to read, I need to study, I need to give this a small presentation to my small cohort of 3 to 4 people before I go in front of 50 people. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, yes, absolutely. One interesting question: how has your life changed after becoming CTA?
That's a good one. So now I'm able to spend my weekends with my family. Now I can think about going to Leh Ladakh and spend some time out. I'm free to have those weekends of mine back to myself. I don't need to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that's all the impact on my personal life. And of course, I can spend more time on my hobbies, right? I love poetry. I love poetry writing. So now I'm having the time to do that. I have the freedom to do that. So that's about my personal thing. Talking professionally, I'm feeling more confident. I am whenever I'm trying to solve any business problem for my customers, I'm well valued when I speak anything. The customers have that justification in front of them, that okay, when CTA is speaking about something, then they give the right attention, they hear me well. They used to hear me well earlier as well, but becoming a CTA, like that kind of a gave a stamp that, then no one overrides. And I think that is the kind of power you feel, right?
Right,
So
right.
so that is something which I loved professionally. And um, and yeah, so these are personal professional aspects, I would say. I'm just feeling more confident. I feel more enthusiastic about my job now.
Right, right. So confidence and being, I would say, more authoritative, right?
Authoritative, yeah, kind of like it's a good word to say, but I would say that well valued by anyone who's into the Salesforce ecosystem, right? They know a CTS is speaking, and you will also feel once you speak about it now, you will also feel, because in that journey you would have solved a lot of around 40 to 50 scenarios are available in the market which you would have solved. Those all of those would have been pretty hypothetical, right? But once you speak about the similar things in the real world scenario, you may expect some different kind of questions from them, right? And which
True.
your CTA judges might not have answered or have asked you before, right? So then you find it pretty interesting because you feel more confident in dealing with those questions. You will think them that, "Eh, yaar, ye to mere liye samne ek aur naya judge aa gaya. Now this judge is asking me this problem statement." Then you think like an architect and give the answer. And I think that's the fun.
Correct. Correct, correct, correct. Yes. One last question before we go to kind of concluding on the tips and tricks. So basically, how do you keep yourself updated on the new features and the release notes that come up? And I think that becomes one key part of your board review as well, right? Because when you're proposing a solution, you need to give, there may be features which you were doing earlier with the coding and customizations, but are now available as a feature, right? So how do you keep up to date?
First, don't worry about it. I'll tell you why. Salesforce CTA examination respects the features which are up to the last three releases if you use in your solution. You know what I mean? So if something would have released, if something would have released in the last 3 months, and if you have not used it, rather use an alternative solution, because you might not be aware of that something has come up in the last 3 months or in the last release. That's okay. Salesforce accepts it. It is if they during Q&A if they ask like, hey, do you know barcode is API is generally available? You can say that I'm not aware of it. It might be the recent. It might be the part of the recent release. I have assumed that it is not available while presenting my solution. I gave that assumption, and you are fine. You are safe for the last three releases. And coming back to the previous question, how I remain myself updated, guys, I don't need to do that. Salesforce keep pushing to do that. I got the ultimatum of completing my that release exams
Exam, maintenance
in
exam.
yeah, before 10th of April. So I need to do that. And once I do it very genuinely. I just do not
Skip
go with
through
a
it.
yeah. I just don't do that. I read them genuinely, and I think that's sufficient.
Right, right. No, absolutely. I mean, these maintenance exams, they have made it very interactive now, and you have to finish one hands-on exercise before you answer the question. So it's
Yeah,
very, it makes you kind of read through it properly.
correct.
Right. So I think that brings us towards the end of the session, Bhaskar. So would you like to kind of consolidate your thoughts around that? What tips and what is the ultimate thing that you want to convey to the audience?
Of course, my answer is gonna be in line with the CTA preparation, right? If someone has joined this call, definitely those are CTA aspirants. They are preparing. They are getting themselves mentally prepared for this exam, or could be a part of this journey already. So I would say that guys remain mentally fit. That is my conclusion number one. And being mentally fit doesn't only mean that you start doing yoga. That could be one part of it, but at the same time be prepared for any kind of outcome, right? Just remain positive, always feel positive, and just think from that few things which I spoke about, right? About the cost, about what could be the end thing. You will always gain some learning, and you will always have people around who would have failed it twice or thrice or four times, and that's okay. That is a part of the journey. So mentally
Mm-hmm.
fitness is very important, and a deep breathing exercise is the key which we always recommend. Always do that, because once you are into that surrounded pressure, I'm telling you, it will take you have to be into the habit of keeping your nerves down, and just do some 2 minute breathing exercise and calm yourself down, and then think positively that okay, how this requirement will be solved. If you're not able to understand anything, just skip over, come back to it later, but you need to be in the right mental state to do that. Second thing, you need to be a very good planner. Third thing, you need to start today. You cannot procrastinate it, saying ठीक है मैं अगले वीक से स्टार्ट करता हूँ, मैं 2 हफ्ते बाद से स्टार्ट करता हूँ. Don't do it. You always have the access to the Excel sheet. Start it immediately. Write down your plan. and then give yourself some targets. If you are in the very beginning phase of your journey, give yourself some prerequisite targets. Okay, in every 2 months time, I need to complete one prerequisite certification, maybe into 1 to 1.5 years, you will be able to complete all of these system and application architect certification. And then you can keep updating your planner and keep entering. And if you are already in your CTA journey, if you have completed all of your prerequisite certifications, you might already be preparing for the CTA evaluation, might have failed, might be preparing for the final review board, then you need to have the calendar. I will tell you, I was having my review board on 10th of January, and I have blocked the CTA mentor judges in the month of October, that on which date, which time I will be presenting what scenario to which mentor, and who will be the judges, who will be my core people joining. So I had all that things in the month of October ready for the month of January. So you think from that side, you need to be very well prepared in advance, because CTA people will not be having too much of time to give anyone on an on-demand basis. Right. And I'll be more than happy to, please feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to assess your solutions first and then decide if you're ready. I will be happy to take your mocks as well and guide you within my capacity.
Definitely. No, that's very humble. So thank you, Bhaskar. And this really helps, I think, to me specifically in person, right? I have been an aspirant earlier, but maybe because of work pressure and everything, I've gone off track. Maybe I'll come back there. So thank you so much for your time, Bhaskar. It was a very wonderful and an insightful session with you, and I hope people are able to make use of it. And guys, Bhaskar has opened up for helping you guys with preparing, but you have to be self-prepared. You have to plan yourself and then reach out to him. So that way, he is able to kind of give you a fruitful way ahead, right? So
Absolutely.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you everyone for hearing it out for last 1 hour, and thanks for staying there. And thank you, Bhaskar, for your time, and hope we meet again, and we are able to kind of present something more to the audience, and they are able to kind of gain more from us, right? From our
Thanks so much. It
experiences.
was a lovely session and lovely talking to you, Manika, because that reminds me of all the memories like what I've passed through. And it's just, yeah, it's lovely. I think I'm just gonna get some goosebumps during my night end as well. Good, yeah, good. It was a lovely
All
session.
right.
Thank you so much, judges. Not
Thank you.
judges. Thank you so much, my audience. And I've got the habit of saying thanks to my judges, because I've given more than 80 presentations till date. So. Yeah, thank you so much. It
Absolutely.
was a
All
lovely
right. Thank you,
conversation.
everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good evening. Have a good evening, good weekend.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Bye bye.